Why do you feel guilty when you say no? For most of us that have been raised in cultures where we were not taught to say no, saying no is a very big challenge. And I appreciate the fact that not everyone has got the strength to say no. But saying no when you've not got the strength to do what you're being asked is self-respect. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lit, I'm the Catalyst, and today we're talking about you being able to say no without feeling guilty. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Lit the Catalyst here. On this channel we give you high-yield information that will help you shape your life and get you geared towards your success destination. So today we're talking about 3 things that will help you to set boundaries and be able to let you say no when you need to say no. So I got a lot of feedbacks from quite a lot of people who watched my previous video, and there are sections of the videos that I will be addressing in the coming weeks. The first of all of them that I'm addressing though is the courage to say no. Creating the boundaries and you being able to say no doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you're feeble, and it doesn't show weakness. Now, just before we get rolling, Catalyst, the ability to say no among certain cultures is easy. For people who were actually brought up in the Western culture, they have been brought up to know that saying no is part of being truthful. But in other cultures, saying no has been taught to mean you're being mean, you're being unkind, or you're just showing weakness. And for most people who do not like to show weakness in the cultures that they were brought up, saying no is a big deal. Let's address it today. To be able to set the boundary and say no, we are concentrating on 3 things, which is first of all, knowing your worth. In my recent videos, knowing your worth, knowing your strength, knowing your values have actually rang the bell all throughout. That's because I have realized as your catalyst that most people have not got the courage to actually know who they are. And so if you do not your value, people will take advantage to let you know who you are to them. So knowing your worth is you being able to know the things you can, how far you can stretch yourself, and how far you cannot. If you are able to know what you can accommodate from people, how far you can go with them, and how far you cannot, you are able to say no. Saying no is not a weakness. Saying no shows that you know your limits and you know your boundaries. And as a catalyst, you should have been able to define who you are, and your worth should be able to let you say no to the things you cannot say no to. Let's take for example, if you are in an organization where you work under a boss or you work with a group of people, oftentimes they will come to you seeking you to do things for them. And your ability to say, yes I can, or no I can't, makes truly a difference. For most people, we tend to accept whatever is thrown at us to help others with, just because we think we are superhumans. But until you are able to say no when you cannot actually offer the help, you would actually be suffering in silence. Saying no is a strength and not a weakness, just as I have said. So the first thing is know your worth. If you know your worth, you'll be able to know the things you can do, how far you can go, and how far you cannot. If you know your worth, you will be able to say no when you have to. And if you know your worth, people would even find it difficult coming to you with things that they know you would say no to. And by so doing, you are setting boundaries around you. And by so doing, you're getting people to understand that there are things you can and things you cannot do. And that is the first way of setting boundaries for people. Saying no to people and not feeling guilty. Now let's move on to the second one on the bill, which is to communicate clearly. So research has shown that lack of communication actually leads to a lot of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. When I say lack of clear communication, I'm actually talking about the fact that people do not go very clearly in what they say. So if someone approaches you with a project, or if someone approaches you with an idea and you're like, oh, are you able to help me go through this and then probably do a presentation for me to explain what it is? Whilst you've got about three more things to do, then it's now time for you to be able to explain clearly why you cannot. The truth to be told is communicating clearly about the things you can and cannot do is a skill that you need to learn. So I could gladly say, oh, thank you for sharing this project with me. I really appreciate the fact that you had to share with me, but unfortunately I've got things on my table to clear, and so I'll not be able to prepare the presentation after I've had a look. I'm really sorry. I wish I could help. That's it. Clearly, you have been able to communicate the fact that you won't be able to help this time around because you've got other things to attend to. But then if I go, okay, I'll have a look at it. I'm not really sure if I can do this, but I'll have a look and see. You give the person some form of assurance that you would have a look. And sometimes it leads to people thinking that obviously she's going to have a look and so she'll do the presentation at the end. Now this is where you get tangled up with all the things you have to do on your desk, with all the itineraries that you've got drawn for yourself, and so you're not able to do this. What happens is you get them coming back to you and you're like, oh, have you been able to do the presentation that we spoke about? And you go like, oh no, I was not able to do. That way you give them some sense of doubt about you, your integrity, and even your value and your worth. But then if you were able to actually get them to understand in the first time that you had a discussion about it that you won't be able to do it, then obviously you have diplomatically explained to them that it's not feasible in your itinerary. So communicating clearly is a skill. Do learn it. Most of the times people tend to say simple things in complex and winding sentences. It's actually not necessary. All that you need to say is to learn how to say no in a simple form. I really appreciate you sharing this with me, but I can't make it to that program. It's the simplest way of saying no, I can't make it. Oh, I really love the fact that you shared it with a group, but however, I think if you could have shared it 5 minutes earlier the next time, it would have given people the opportunity to actually have a read and give you feedback. That is it. That way you're learning to communicate clearly to people. And it makes it easier for you to actually tell them when you can and when you cannot do something. Now the third thing to actually do is the fact that you have to be firm when tested. So sometimes people push you into that kind of way, saying no, it's not easy, especially when it's got to do with family asking you to do them a favor, asking you to do them things for them, and you know you'll not be able to do it. Stand firm, and stay firm. If you're able to stay firm when you're tested and put in that tight corner, obviously people will know that go to that lady, she'll be able to tell you if she can help you or not. And that is the way you go about it. Standing firm is difficult, especially when we're being asked to do things that comes from people, you respect people who've contributed to your life in a certain way, and people who have money to make an impact in your life. But in instances where you cannot, obviously you should be able to say no. And you saying no means you saying no. The most repetitive thing that people tend to do is when they have come to you for a favor, or when they have come to you to present an idea and need your help, and then you have said no, they tend to go to someone they think is higher, someone with more power, someone who you respect, and they wish to go through them to get to you. This is the case where it becomes much more difficult, especially when you've got a lot of respect for this powerful individual or dignitary or influence in your life. But catalyst, your ability to say no when you cannot, it's not weakness. Your ability to say no when you've got the provision to, it's not weakness. The ability to say no when you really need to say no is self-respect, and it's a beautiful strength. So there you have a catalyst. Today we have talked about you being able to set boundaries without feeling guilty when you say no. And we have talked about the fact that you have to know your worth, know your strength, know your weaknesses, know what you can do and what you cannot do. That way it's easier to say no. We've also spoken about communicating clearly, telling people when you want to really say no, just say it nicely and let them understand that you wish you could help, but it's still a no. And then when you're put in that tight corner, you still have to stay firm when tested. So know your worth, communicate clearly, and stay firm when tested. It is by doing these that you'll be able to set the boundaries that you need to set. And by so doing, you would feel relaxed about the things you can do and the things you cannot do. If you have liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And hey, keep going. There is another video to come that will be mind-blowing. It's a serious discussion, and you cannot afford to miss it. See you in my next video.